From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, I'm Kylie Conway, and this is your News 8 Daily 8 for Friday, March 17th. St. Patrick's Day. Unfortunately, not the greatest weather for the holiday. Some showers this morning are going to be more scattered by later this morning. Might be some mixed precip as a cold front comes in through the state, but by and large, the precipitation is going to move out and the cold is going to move in. Temperatures are plummeting. The clouds are going to decrease throughout the day. Might get a few degrees warmer, but not much. And then tonight, it gets really cold into the 20s. And in the morning when you wake up, it'll be in the single digits. And as far as the downtown celebrations for St. Patrick's Day, the tent party begins at 10 o'clock this morning, the parade at 11:30. So hopefully the weather does at least cooperate in the dry department. Just need to bundle up, wear those layers, as temps will be in the 30s during that parade. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is working to reassure Congress the nation's banking system is secure after the collapse of two major banks. Yellen testified before the Senate Finance Committee yesterday.
I can reassure the members of the committee that our banking system is sound and that Americans can feel confident that their deposits will be there when they need them. This week's actions demonstrate our resolute commitment to ensure that our financial system remains strong and that depositors' savings remain safe.
The FDIC is protecting the deposits of customers of the failed banks, even above the $250,000 limit usually imposed. Yellen told lawmakers that the government will not protect shareholders and debt holders of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank, though. She also said no taxpayer money will be used or put at risk. 11 of America's largest banks are now taking steps to prevent a third bank from collapsing. The banks announced a $30 billion rescue package for First Republic Bank yesterday. The group of banks says it's seen large withdrawals of uninsured deposits. Yellen and the heads of the Federal Reserve and FDIC praised the rescue package. Indiana Senator Mike Braun is sponsoring new legislation in the aftermath of the bank collapses. He says the goal is to make sure community banks and customers don't end up paying to cover the deposits of failed banks. The bill from Braun and Missouri Senator Josh Hawley would prohibit banks from charging additional fees if the collapses lead to higher federal insurance costs. The bill would also allow the government to recover bonuses paid to executives at banks that fail. You can watch the full conversation with Braun this Sunday morning on All Indiana Politics. It airs at 9:30 on Wish TV. Police have caught the man accused in a deadly shooting of a 16-year-old outside Castleton Square Mall. IMPD says officers arrested Clyde Johnson yesterday, 2 days after authorities announced charges and a warrant for him. The shooting was January 3rd. Police say Johnson fired at Michael Mason Jr. from the seat of a car as Mason tried to get in, mistakenly thinking it was the one he had been riding in. Investigators say Johnson claims he thought Mason was about to rob him. Johnson faces charges of voluntary manslaughter and battery. His first court appearance is scheduled for Monday. An Indianapolis woman is charged in the death of her 1-year-old daughter and due in court today. Alexandria Jones faces charges for felony neglect. She's accused of waiting too long to get medical care for the girl after she suffered burns during a bath. It happened in November of 2020. According to court documents, Jones admitted she didn't take the child to the hospital for 3 days, and that's when she died. An autopsy shows she also had several broken bones. Jones's hearing is set for 9:30 this morning. Nearly 36 people faced drug trafficking charges in a major drug bust. Several police agencies in Johnson County teamed up to make 29 arrests. The Johnson County Sheriff says the operation began months ago. Police say most of the suspects are from Indianapolis, but sold meth and other drugs in Johnson County. Officers served the warrants early Wednesday morning. Major Andy Fisher says police are still looking for 13 people. He says those suspects may have changed their home addresses. IT Mate is looking into high-tech twists on March Madness and whether artificial intelligence could someday take out some of the mystery. This year, several AI programs generated brackets. One program predicts Creighton, Houston, Duke, and Kansas will make the Final Four. So far, that call is still intact. The technology is certainly not perfect, though. Another AI bracket picked Virginia over Furman, and it failed, like most humans, to call the upset for the Paladins. A business professor at Indiana University says part of the problem for AI will be relying on old data.
So a lot of times they're making decisions based on out-of-date information, I'm sure a lot of this will evolve over time and probably very quickly to get better information. But right now, there are some significant flaws with the data and analysis it uses.
iTeammate is tracking several AI-generated brackets and plans to follow up once the tournament is over. And the Colts have a new quarterback. According to our Colts insider, Zach Kiefer, Gardner Minshew is getting a contract. Minshew spent the last 2 seasons with the Philadelphia Eagles, along with new Colts head coach Shane Steichen. Minshew also quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. His career record, 8 wins, 16 losses. According to a report from the NFL Network, Minshew agreed to a 1-year deal with $3.5 million guaranteed. It also includes up to $5.5 million in incentives. The Colts have not confirmed the deal. Minshew could end up as a backup or compete for a starting spot, depending on what the NFL draft has in store. And the dream of advancing to the first round in the NCAA women's tournament has come to a heartbreaking end for Purdue. The 11th seeded Boilermakers took on 11th seed St. John's last night in a first 4 game. Purdue tied the game at 64 with just seconds to go before St. John's last second bucket sealed the win, 66-64. Notre Dame women play their first round game against Southern Utah at 3:30 this afternoon. IU women play Tennessee Tech tomorrow morning at 11:30. And this year's men's NCAA tournament is already living up to its nickname, March Madness. The 2 teams seeded 4th or higher have already been knocked out in the first round. 4th seeded Virginia took on 13th seeded Furman. The Cavaliers led by as much as 12 in the second half. But then there was a strong comeback by the Paladins, and a late three-pointer off of a steal helped them pull off the upset 68-67. And a bizarre game ending for that win. People are trying to figure out what led the Virginia player to just throw the ball up, trying to maybe get it down court. Hard to tell. Virginia still had a timeout left. But anyway, it was stolen about mid-court by the Paladin player and throws it down, 3 points sunk. Pretty incredible finish there. And later in the day, 2nd-seeded Arizona played 15th-seeded Princeton. Arizona led until the final minutes of the game. A late run by the Tigers put them ahead for good. Princeton wins 59-58, the program's first tournament win since 1998. And today, the Purdue and IU men tip off their tournament runs. We have all access to the games. The Boilermakers are up first. They're a number 1 seed playing a 16 seed, Farley Dickinson. The Knights are giving the Boilermakers extra motivation. The head coach, quoting one of his assistants, told his team in the locker room, "The more I watch Purdue, the more I think we can beat them."
We all took it as disrespect, but we're going to go in that game ready to play, trust me, and that's fuel to our fire. And we're not going to throw no disrespect towards them because we respect them. They're a good team, obviously, because they're here, but we're definitely going to be ready to go.
Purdue tips off at 6:50. Indiana plays later. The Hoosiers are also heavy favorites, a number 4 seed against 13 seed Kent State. IU's looking to make it to the round of 32 for the first time since 2016.
You lose, you go home and have to deal with it over the summer and think about all the things probably you should have did. I'm not ready to go home, and I hope the players feel the same way.
IU and Kent State are scheduled to tip off at 9:55 tonight. Could be later, depending on how long the games before go. And starting today, downtown Indy plays host to 40,000 student athletes. The Nike Middies qualifier, it's one of the country's largest volleyball tournaments, returns. It's for players aged 16 to 18 years old. The competition will be at Indiana Convention Center and Lucas Oil Stadium. Matches began this morning at 8 o'clock. And finally, to business headlines, the average U.S. mortgage inched back down this week after 5 straight weeks of gains. Mortgage buyer Freddie Mac says the average on the benchmark 30-year rate slid back to 6.6%. The average rate a year ago was 4.1%. As of February, renters in the U.S. continue to owe nearly $11 billion in debt. The average amount owed is more than $2,000. Support for rent control policies has gained traction nationwide. Economists are widely against the idea of rent control. They argue that rent control would deter developers from building more houses, which would only worsen the housing supply crisis in the United States. Amazon is no longer selling magazine and newspaper subscriptions through Kindle Newsstand and will stop delivering current Kindle Newsstand and subscriptions in September. After June 5th, you won't be able to manage print subscriptions through Amazon. Amazon's changes are part of other cost-cutting measures at the company, which have also included massive layoffs affecting about 18,000 employees. The price of eggs have become so expensive that one large chain is refusing to sell them. Dollar Tree says its stores would stop selling eggs because avian flu is driving the prices up. Dollar Tree said it will resume selling eggs in the fall, but until then, eggs sold in the grocery sections of more than 8,000 stores in the U.S. and Canada will be removed. And Google is raising the price of YouTube TV to $73 a month. Google says the increase is necessary as it's investing more into content. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway, online at wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV. Have a great weekend and have a safe and fun celebration of St. Patrick's Day.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.